Hello and welcome back. If you're new to my channel, I'm Deirdre, and today is part 2 of my pre-planning for 2019. I've already gone over the sorts of things that it's good to think about before you actually start setting goals and thinking about the new year. I'll link that up here, and this is now going to be a quick review of my current bullet journal, which covers the last 2 quarters of this year, to find out what it is that I am using, what I really enjoy using, what's worked well, what hasn't worked so well, the reasons for it, should I include it or not in my setup for my bullet journal 2019, which I will be doing in a couple of days' time. And of course I will then do on January the 3rd, I will do an overview of my planning process for the whole year, the sorts of things that I do and the steps that I take. And if you'd like to join me, I'd really enjoyed having you along, so don't forget to subscribe if you would like to be part of that, and give me a thumbs up if you're interested. I really like to know and give me some feedback on that sort of thing. But for today, it's just going to be this flip through, and I've got a notebook just to put down what I like, what I will include, definitely. And I think that this is a really useful way of reviewing your old bullet journals. So let's get started. Now the first page is obviously the one that has my name and address on everything like that over here. Well, it's not showing that one. And then there's a frontispiece to just state what the year's going to be and what this is going to be covering. And I put sprint to the beginning. 2019 is waiting for me. And it was a bit of a sprint in many ways. The next page is something I always have, and that is an index. Now I like to make sure I use this more. I'm not sure I'm going to put it in, but put a question mark beside it that says I need to have a slightly different way of using it. Maybe I've started here, I highlighted my book list, and that's a good idea. Then over here I've got my more index. I've got the goals for before 2019, so at some point when I'm sort of 20 weeks out or whatever from 2020, no doubt I'll have a 20 goals before 2020. But I've got through some of these, some of them I haven't, and I need to go back to them and pull those out, pull out the ones I haven't done and move them onto another list. Right, now this was the big one for me this year. I had not been reading the way I wanted to. I had barely been reading at all, and I used to be a voracious reader. I was the kid who always had her nose in a book. And then years at university, you do sort of lose it because you're using or you're reading energy to read references and academic books and doing your research. So it isn't uncommon to lose it then, and I got it back again, and then I went back to university and I sort of lost it again then, but I hadn't got it back. So halfway through this year I just thought enough is enough, I'm going to start reading again, and I set my task of reading a book a week, which was going to be at that point about, oh I don't know, I can't remember, 20 plus weeks, 20 odd books, 19 books, something like that. Well, I've been quite successful at this. And what I've highlighted the ones that I really liked. I've just put a star beside them. I will do a book favourites in the next, probably in January, I'll look back over the books of 2018 I loved. And give me some comments, give me some feedback on what, if you're interested in that, because I'm interested in it. I thought it was a great thing to do, and I really encourage you to start recording in some way the books that you've read in a year or in even over a month. It's so interesting. So I just put the name of the book and who wrote it and when I started it and when I finished it. Some of them are Audible books, so I have used them when I've been driving, and I think that is a great idea. I'm not saying it has to be Audible. They are the ones that I use, but I found them very good. It all depends for me if you're using Audible books or any of the audio books. It really depends on the narrator. And some very good books I simply could not touch in the Audible form. I had to read them myself because I found the narration was just grating on me. So there we are, there's one tip. Always listen to the sample before you decide that that's the one you're going to spend your credit on, and make sure you like the way it's being performed really, because they're actors. So this was great. I'm currently down here. I've got how many weeks? I've got about 2.5 weeks of left, and I've got I'm currently reading this one by a new author that I've discovered. I'm really happy with that, so I'm putting little stars beside him as well. And I've got, if I'm just trying to push to see if I can get to 40 for the last 2 quarters of the year, I'd be chuffed if I can do that. So maybe between Christmas and New Year I'll really push. So definitely do that, and I would encourage you to do it as well. Now the next page is content planning, and I've done quite a lot of these that I wrote down, I've given to you. Under here is something that I am still working on, and so I'm not going to think about it just yet. It's sort of in the works, so I don't know, we'll see. Okie doke. Then over here, yes, I'm shy. I have covered up with washi my weight because I track my weight. So this was July. I was in and out around about July. I was busy on some days, not on others. It was a bit of a not so busy month. And then I had specific goals for July and some baby steps to break it down, and that I think that's worthwhile as well. Over here I had started what I had hoped to be my couch to 5k, getting back to running, and instead I got an ulcerated toe, and that was really not a good thing. Maybe I'll just put it at the beginning of the whole year, because it doesn't matter when I do it, I'm just aiming to do it. Now this is my key for my bullet journal. I'll just bring you down a bit so you can have a better look. This is my current way of running my key, and this is quite common among people who do bullet journals, that you just use a dot for your task, you put a line through it for partially completed, a cross when it is completed, a circle for an event, and a square box just for work. Now these actually do work for me. Then you can have a forward arrow for migrating a task to another month or another year if you've just decided you're not going to do it. You get a backward going one for a delegated task. You put a line through the whole thing if it's cancelled, and fill in for I've said partially completed. I just don't mean that. When you complete an event or complete an item for work, then it becomes a filled in square. So that is a definite, that's going to be my way of doing it from now on. Now, as you can see, I'm not a fancy bullet journalist. I don't fuss with this. It's just journaling. It's running my life. It's not being decorative and creative. I admire the people that are, but mine is more minimalist. It's more sort of really functional, sort of utilitarian, day-by-day stuff. This is my July daily log, so just my normal way of setting it up, where I always start with whatever day is the first, I start that in the same place. So if the first was the Wednesday, it would start over here, and this would just be a page of notes. Visually, I like having them in the same place for my overview, and as I've said before, I have no idea why this isn't Saturday and Sunday, because technically it sort of should be. They end up here. See, that's my Saturday and Sunday up here, and I don't know, it just happened that way. Somebody suggested it was because I'm down under, so I'm upside down, which, you know, is as good an explanation as any, I think. And so that's how I run every month, and then at the end of each week, in this area called month in review, it's actually more 4 weeks of the month in review, and I try to review my eating, exercise and sleep, and productivity at the end of each week. And I want to include this, but I want to have some references in the coming months. So in this case it would have been August, where I flip back and make sure that I'm working on specific ideas that I pull out at the end of the month to say, this is what I'm going to be doing. So August the same. Now I have played around with the idea of putting it into a calendar form, but I still like this. And so what I've started doing here was I started to highlight, say, the Saturday and Sunday, so that the weeks are not highlighted, and the months and the weekends are. We'll see. I'm going to keep on with that for now. You may see me change at some point to a calendar version, but I'm not quite happy. Yes, and that's the blacking out my weight. I'll talk to you about anything about me except my weight, because it drives me insane. And that is something I am going to deal with in 2019. And not that I want to be slim, I just want to be at my best weight so that everything else works well, and right now I'm not. Now here I started using a different way of plotting my videos. I'd log what I was doing and planning it, filming it, editing it, doing the metadata, and then uploading, publishing, etc., and all of that. Now I was hoping to be blogging again, which I haven't been, and this would have meant that anything in green would have been a blog, and I would do the plan, the photos, the text, and the publishing. So maybe we'll finally see that in 2019. Now this was just more of this was the daily logs for August as it goes, so that will be the same. Here I did a meal planning, and that worked really well, and I just haven't carried it on particularly well, so that is definitely something I'm going to put in. Meal planning, definitely it's going to be in here. Just tracking some incoming orders. Here it's just some more content ideas I had, that's fine, ongoing with that. And then this is a September log for everything else. It's just the normal, what I've been doing in the month and my specific goals. I really didn't like this. This was me getting just decidedly carried away. Obviously it was raining, I was bored. So that was how I was doing my September content, by outlining, you know, this one in pink and that one in green and that one in blue. Not going to happen. Now, what I haven't been doing, but I did make notes of, were monthly favourites. Now, give me an idea if you want me to do monthly favourites, because I quite like the idea, and lots of other people do that on their channels. They will give me monthly favourites for, say, books and videos, or films that they've been to see, maybe a restaurant review, or a meal that they had somewhere that was really interesting, somewhere they went, skincare, anything you like that I've used or done in the month and became a favourite. This was a different way of tracking my habits. I sort of liked it, sort of didn't. That's my weight under there again, you can tell, can't you? But that one I've ditched. I'm not going to do it that way. I have a better way that's more visual, and for now that's working. It's a bit sort of club you in the face, but it's okay. So this was planning for October, and I didn't get a lot of that done, so I'm going to definitely transfer some of these ideas across. Oh, here we go. I was getting really carried away for October. This is just sort of embarrassing. Somebody had given me some stencils and I decided to use them. I actually really like the hexagons, not because it's so creative or anything, it's because it stops things from becoming sort of a blur of sameness, so you focus on them. That's actually not a bad thing, and that was on how to achieve goals and things like that, and we'll talk about that in January on the 3rd. We'll definitely include some of that. I actually quite like my little hexagons. I had spring specific goals, September, October, November, so finish, to do, celebrate. I'm definitely going to include that in my next one, so that's page 69. You see, these numbering the pages really does mean you can find it. It's not the goals themselves, it's the process. It's to finish, it's to do, it's to celebrate, study, learn something, because I think it's always good to be learning something, start something. I liked that. Here we are. I was using my little hexagons again differently, and this was a what and a how to do it for specific goals, so I still like that as well, so I'll definitely put that down. And oh, here we go. This is where I started this really, you know, punch you in the face tracking, which is a bit garish for me, but it did work. This one looks beautiful, it's subtle, but this one works. So it's the old form over function thing, and in this case this is the functional way for me. I was tracking different things on different pages just to see which one was better, and I'm afraid the sock in the face one really did win. I did really track it. I just put a line under it when I didn't do it and coloured it in when I did. So this is moving into November. I'm still trying to use my hexagons, and despite the fact that they do grab your attention, etc., etc., they didn't work. They didn't work for me. Here's my vertical log. Once again, it works. And here's my really garish and big fat habit tracker. I can see at a glance how I've done on some things. I haven't been so good on others. Oh, I started doing my financial tracking and just putting down budget expenses, so I'm not certain how I'm going to do with that. I would like to have it in here, so I would like to include it. Here I was trying to do something else where I'd brainstorm a video and then write out the steps for doing it. Brainstorm, write out the steps. Brainstorm, oops, didn't get there. Brainstorm, didn't get there. Okay, and then a whole nother page of it. So that wasn't working, but it's a good idea. And then I got up to my, as you saw if you followed my plan with me for December, I got all, carried away and did this as a picture. Somebody did it and I thought it was neat. I was also looking at putting an action plan for things I wanted to get done, and I was thinking about that, so that is coming in as well. And then my month in focus, I'm definitely going to do and carry on. I think this is a good idea. So what I've said here is to have the top 3 things I accomplished this month, what are my 3 goals for the next month, in this case January, what changes will I make to my environment, but that's the sort of thing that I'll be talking about in my January the 3rd video about goals for the whole of 2019. There's just a note catcher. I just thought that was just me changing the name of a note page, but catches notes, like a dream catcher. I quite like the idea of having a note catcher. I'm going to keep that name. Then, this is my brainstorming and video page. Brainstorm, video plan. Yeah, that one didn't work, did it? Now this was something that I think is going to be good. I just need to get into the habit of using it, and that's a weekly action plan. To set a priority for a project, what the project is, what the specific task is in the project that you want to get done. It's a standard project management sort of tool that I've used in other ways, but I haven't been applying to my life. And I've decided that I will, and then what sort of percentage of that I've completed at the end of week 1, and you can fill it in with anything you like. Honestly, it could be getting through your to-do list, and it could be about gardening, it could be any task and project. And I'm into empty pages, so I haven't got many empty pages at the end so far. I may even use these because I'll do some planning for my January video. I'll do it here, so that will end up being used up, because Moleskine A5 is, I think this one is 240 pages perhaps, and that is the perfect size for me for 2 quarters, and I haven't been able to find another one, and I like the soft cover. It's not so heavy, so I throw it in my bag and take it with me. So I'm hunting that up now so I can set up my bullet journal generally for 2019 in the first 2 quarters, and also do a plan with me for January. So that is coming up. So I hope that if you enjoyed that you'll subscribe, give me a thumbs up. I will be back tomorrow with another of The Night Before Christmas. I hope that whatever you're doing, you're having a lovely day, and I will see you soon. Bye.